We're in the middle of the story of Queen Chudala and King Sikhidhvaja. It's quite a profound story, I think. Here we have two lovers, a happy husband and wife, who both feel the need for spiritual inquiry. Queen Chudala realizes the fruits of this spiritual inquiry, and upon doing so, rather than share and learn from her realization, King Sikhidhvaja dismisses her beautiful song of radiance as prattle. Here we have the male ego in play, which can be a huge barrier to realization. It also exemplifies the problem in a couple where one person has realized this and the other hasn't. It's going to shift the whole dynamics of the relationship. Let's see what happens. Vasishta continued. Having said this, the king went away from the inner apartments. Chudala thought, "It is a pity that the king is unable to understand," and she continued to go about her work. Thus they continued to live for a considerable time. Though Chudala had no desires, a wish arose in her to move about in space. In order to acquire this power, she sought solitude, and there exercised the vital air which has an upward tendency. So, I suppose this was an option. What's Chudala to do? She wants to share her understanding with her husband, but he's completely closed to it. So she has to get on with something. So she starts exploring possibilities of psychic powers. And she's not wishing to do this from any perspective of self-aggrandizement or of achieving power. It's merely an option which has presented itself to her, and she's got the time and the circumstances, and she goes with it. She just goes with this. But we get the warning. We get a warning now. There are three types of attainable goals in this world, O Ram: desirable, detestable, and ignorable. What is desirable is sought with great effort. What is detestable is abandoned. Between these two is that towards which one is indifferent. Normally, one regards that as desirable, which promotes happiness. Its opposite is considered undesirable, and one is indifferent to those which bring neither happiness nor unhappiness. So this is a straightforward categorization of the pursuit of happiness. However, in the case of the enlightened ones, these categories do not exist, for they look upon everything as a mere play, and hence they are utterly indifferent to everything seen or unseen. So Queen Chudala is just playing here. I shall now describe to you the method of gaining what is attainable, siddhi or psychic powers, towards which the sage of self-knowledge is indifferent, which the deluded person considers desirable, and which one who is intent on the cultivation of self-knowledge is keen to avoid. So if you're intent on the cultivation of self-knowledge, we should really avoid the next part of the chapter and following chapters. They're a total distraction and nothing to do with self-knowledge. I wasn't going to read these chapters, mainly because I'm not an expert in these matters, and also because they're not to do with self-inquiry. But I think it might be useful in terms of understanding the framework or part of the context of the Yoga Vasishta, the context within which it arose. And these topics were obviously highly relevant at the time. Vasishta continued. All achievements are dependent upon 4 factors: time, place, action, and means. Among these, action or effort holds the key, because surely all endeavours towards the achievement are based on action or effort. Some perverse practices also prevail, and they are said to make achievements possible. Especially in the hands of immature participants, they are conducive to great harm. To this category belong the magic pill, or unguent, or wand, as also the use of gems, drugs, self-mortification, and magic formulae. The belief that the mere dwelling in holy places like Sri Saila or Meru enables one to attain spiritual perfection is also defective. Hence, in the context of the story of Sikhidhvaja, I shall describe the technique of pranayama, or the exercise of the life force, and the achievements it brings about. Kindly listen. So it's quite interesting. I suspect Vasishta would not approve of most New Age therapies and techniques. A lot of the categories here would seem to fall into New Age techniques. It's easy to confuse spirituality with mumbo jumbo. But true spirituality is ultimately scientific. It's about looking into what is real. It's not about adhering to a belief. It's nothing to do with belief. Nothing to do with belief in God, belief in some kind of divine order, divine plan. Nothing to do with the belief that the Word of God can be put between the pages of a book. It's ultimately scientific. It's empirical. It's describing things in a way which is as obvious as possible. Anyway, we'll find out about how to gain psychic powers next time.